Hi guys, today's video is going to be following on to my previous one where I was doing some changes on the moving bed. I'll show you where I'm up to with that in a second. As you can see, all the fry are in there, they're all doing alright. I don't think I really explained it very clearly in the last video, but because I've been having some problems with my electrics, I had to get the fry out of there straight away. I didn't really want to move them when it was this cold, but I didn't really have a choice. My Grohan pond actually had 18 volts flowing through the water, so they were all a little bit upset. Anybody who's been watching my channel for a while will know I had some problems with the electrics on the main pond, and it turns out the reason for this is due to condensation in the garage caused by the Grohan, and it actually was affecting a whole socket ring, and the garage was on the same socket ring that the pond was on, so that was why I ended up getting a shock off the water in the pond. But I've got that sorted now. The pond's on a separate ring on the electrics, but yeah, it did mean I had to get the fish out of the garage straight away. But they're all doing alright in there. As you can see, this is probably my favourite one out of the fry. I think it's going to be a really nice fish actually. It's probably about 27 centimetres, something like that. Anyway, on with this week's video. Right guys, so I'm just draining down the IBC. I've had to keep it with water in up till now because that's what the wash pump takes its feed from. So I've had to unplug the wash pump for now, but I'm getting that drained down, and then I'm going to get this tank connector put in here. While I've got it empty, I'm just getting some insulation behind it. There's some odd sheets of polystyrene that I've got, and I've also got this thermowrap stuff that I'm going to get round it as well, so get it a bit insulated. What I'm going to have to do is, this elbow is not actually solvent welded, so I can take that off, and I've got a 2-inch end cap, so I'm going to solvent weld that on there just to block that off, because I'm not going to be using that anymore. And what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking the feed from here, so I'm going to have my pump externally, and it's going to pump back into the pond, and the 3-inch inlet's going to come in just in here. It's going to take a little bit of messing about, but hopefully it should work, and while I've got it empty I'll give it a good clean as well. So I've cut my 3-inch hole, and I'm going to be using one of these called a Uniseal. They're supposed to be really good. I've never used one before, but it was about the only thing that I could get in that gap. A 3-inch tank connector wouldn't actually fit, because I don't know if you can see there, the plastic sort of bends there, so it had to be within that gap. Anyway, so I'm going to push this Uniseal in, and these are pretty simple to fit. You just push them in and then you push the pipe through it, and apparently they are totally watertight, but we'll find out when we fill it up. So I've got that pipe and the elbow pushed through that Uniseal. It's a pretty tight fit in there, so I think that's going to be pretty watertight as it is. I can always run some sealant around if not. That's the 3-inch pipe coming through. What I want to do, just to make sure I don't get any K1 go back into the drum, I've got this. So it's a filter cage which is on a male thread, and then there's a female to PVC adapter, so I'll just glue that on the end of there, and that will stop any K1 going back up the pipe into the drum. Right, so I've got this connected up to the drum now. I didn't have enough 3-inch pipe to do it all the way. I had a bit of 3-inch and a little bit of 4-inch pipe left, so I've done it a bit of both just to save me buying a new section of pipe. Plus I already had this elbow. So 4-inch to there, reduces down to 3-inch into the IBC, and then there's a cage on there which will stop the K1 getting back. And I'm going to be using this bottom outlet, and the pump coming back is going to attach to here and then pump back to the pond. And I've got an old filter cage, and it fits pretty much perfectly in there, so I'm going to see if I can solvent weld it in there. If not, I'll put a bit of sealant in there just to hold it in place, which is actually broken, so I can't even use it for anything else, but it works perfectly for that, and the gaps are small enough to stop even the K1 micro going through, so it's ideal really. Okay, so whatever reason that won't solvent weld into there. I don't know if it's a type of plastic, but it's just not sticking, so we're going to go with plan B and going to stick it in with some sealant. I know from doing a window that will hold it in, fine. Does mean I've got to give it a few hours to cure though before I can fill it up with water. This stuff will actually seal underwater, but I'll at least get it a little bit dry before I fill it up. Okay, so that's glued in there with silicone now. As I say, that stuff does cure underwater, so I will turn the filter back on in a minute, just because at the moment I've got absolutely nothing running because I needed all the solvent weld joints to dry, but obviously I've blocked that one off. That should be dry by now. I've got that cage glued on there. I've also got this thermowrap and some polystyrene. Well, the polystyrene's half the way around, but I can do this bit down here another time, and I will get some on the drum as well at some point. But yeah, this should be ready to go, and again I will insulate these pipes as well at some point, but for now I just want to make sure it works and make sure there's no leaks. And the outlet, I'm just waiting for the connector to connect that up, although I've put this thermowrap over the top of it. I'm going to have to cut a hole in that. That should arrive tomorrow, but I can at least get this full up with water today, just make sure there's no leaks, and then I can connect the return pipe up tomorrow. So I've just opened up the pump and I've got water flowing into the IBC now. Just double checking all these joints. I can't see any leaks at the moment. We'll wait until it's full though. I'll probably have to top the pond up a bit after this because I'll have about 600 litres of water going to here. Yeah, fingers crossed I can get that return on tomorrow and then get this moving bed back up and running. Right, so the water's flowing in. It's up and over that Uniseal now, and there's no leaks there so far. It's dropped the level of the water in the pond quite a bit, so I'm going to have to top that up. I'll have to leave the pressure pump off from the drum for a little bit because it will just keep trying to clean. But it looks like it's worked. Certainly should get enough flow through a 3-inch pipe, but I won't know for certain until I connect it up. Hopefully get that done tomorrow. But yeah, it's looking like it's worked anyway. Just better check that there's no leaks from that pipe actually. A bit close. Nope, I think we're good. Not leaking in through there. I'll probably blanket off this side as well. So what I'm going to do is, pipe's going to come out of there through the shed. I'm going to have an air source heat pump coming hopefully next week, so it's going to connect to the heat pump here, and then it's going to come back and into this pipe. I'll probably cut this down because this is on a ball valve. I can unscrew that there and just twist this so I can line it up. Obviously that's 2-inch and I'll be using 1.5 inches, so I have to reduce it down, but that's not too much of a problem. Right, so we're up and running again. I've lost the light a bit now, so I didn't get any more filmed. I'm still topping up the water level, so this isn't the finished level. It will be at least another inch, probably 1.5 inches higher than that when it's totally full. I've got this connected down here. So this is IBC to 1.5 inch BSP. BSP female to solvent weld, and then into the pump. And this is only just temporary now until I can get the until I get the heat pump, and then I'll get this changed over to hard pipe. But for now, there's flexi pipe going around there. My garden's an absolute state again. It's just been raining, and then that's back down into that underwater return, and that's running now. Seems to be working fine. Again, this is just temporary. Once I get the heat pump, which hopefully will come next week, I'll get this swapped over to hard pipe. But it means I can get all my biomedia out and in here. And again, these air lines are just temporary as well. I'm going to get a proper diffuser for in here because having all these pipes everywhere is just annoying. Anyway, let's get the K1 over. Right, well that's all the K1 back in there. It's not moving brilliantly at the moment, but I'll have a play around with the air stones in the morning. I'm sure I can get it moving a little bit better than that, but at least it's all in there. And even though the IBC's only about, well, it's only just over half full. It's still more than enough water volume for me to get enough media in for what I need. So yeah, quite happy with it now. It certainly seems to be working. I'm going to leave the pump on a low setting overnight, and then I'll have a little play around with it and play around with it tomorrow. I think I'll probably want it on about 5,000 litres an hour. I don't want it anything too crazy, and then obviously I'll have a bit more flow going over the shower. So it's the next day now. This pump in here seems to be working absolutely fine. It's going back to the pond. It's creating quite a nice flow around the pond. I've tried turning this pump right up to 10,000 litres an hour, and it still seems to be getting enough flow through that pipe. So I'm really pleased with how that's worked out. All seems to be working well. Got a bit of tidying up to do in here. Got a load of wires to get sorted. And yeah, like I say, this pipe is just temporary for now. Hopefully I'll be swapping it over for the air source heat pump next week. Anyway guys, thanks for watching today's video. I'll catch you next week. I'm going to be installing my air source heat pump next week. That's due to be delivered early next week, so it'd be good to get that up and running. I've still got a few other bits to show you as well. I've got to get this trickling sorted, moved somewhere else. Obviously I've still got a lot of tidying up to do in my garden, and I've still got all the copings to sort. But I have got the waste outlet for the drum sorted now, so I'll show you that as well in another video. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.